Welcome to Triumphant Over Trauma, where resilience reigns and women rewrite their stories of victory after trauma. I'm Gina, your guide on this empowering journey. With a mission to help women overcome trauma, I'm here to inspire you to cultivate a positive mindset, embrace self-love, and find peace. Join me as we celebrate strength, reclaim power, and triumph over adversity together. Before we begin today, I want you to slow down with me. Take a breath and imagine this. You're lying gently in a hammock, swaying softly in the warmth of the day. The sun rests against your skin, steady, soft, comforting. Your toes stretch just enough to brush against the cool green blades of grass beneath you. The earth feels steady there, grounded, supportive, unshaken. Above you, the sky opens wide, an endless blue, touched by slow-moving clouds that drift without urgency, without pressure, simply existing in their own rhythm. Birds sing nearby, light, effortless, free. And every now and then, a butterfly flutters close. It doesn't rush. It doesn't force attention. It doesn't ask to be seen. And yet, impossible to ignore, there's something about its presence. Gently, quiet, undeniable. And as you lie there held in this moment, I want you to notice something. The most powerful things in nature are not the loudest. The sun doesn't shout to be felt. The sky doesn't compete to be seen. The butterfly doesn't demand attention to be admired. They simply are. And their presence alone is enough. But for so many women, especially those who have experienced trauma, that kind of power can feel unfamiliar. Because somewhere along the way, you may have learned that your voice had to be earned, that you had to explain yourself, prove yourself, defend yourself, shrink yourself, or even silence yourself just to be safe. Maybe you were told you were too much, or not enough, or that your feelings were inconvenient, or that your truth was something to be questioned. And over time, you adapted. You learned how to read the room before speaking. You learned how to soften your voice to avoid conflict. You learned how to hold things in instead of expressing them out. Not because you didn't have something to say, but because somewhere deep inside it felt safer to stay quiet. But here's the truth I want you to feel in your body today. Your power was never in how loudly you spoke. Your power is in how deeply you know yourself. Because real power isn't forced. It isn't loud for the sake of being heard. It doesn't beg for validation. Real power is quiet. It's the way you hold yourself in a room. It's the energy you carry when you know your worth. It's the boundaries you set without needing to explain them. It's the calm certainty that says, I know who I am even if I don't say a word. And when you begin to embody that kind of power, something shifts. You stop over-explaining. You stop over-apologizing. You stop seeking permission to take up space. Because your presence becomes your voice. Your energy becomes your message. And your silence becomes intentional, not suppressed. So today we're stepping into something powerful. We're stepping into quiet power. What it means to own your voice without saying a word, to show up in your life with a grounded, unshakable sense of self, to release the need to prove, and to step into the knowing that you already are. So as you lie there in that hammock feeling the warmth of the sun, the steadiness of the earth beneath you, and the quiet beauty of life unfolding all around you, I want you to breathe this in. You don't have to be louder to be powerful. You just have to be rooted in who you are. Let's explore this together. Let me ask you something. Have you ever known exactly what you wanted to say, felt it clearly in your body, and still stayed quiet? Maybe you swallowed the words, changed the subject, smiled instead, told yourself it's not a big deal, even though deep down it was. If you've ever done that, I want you to hear this. You didn't lose your voice. You learned to protect yourself. Because for many women who have experienced trauma, whether it was being dismissed, criticized, ignored, misunderstood, or made to feel unsafe expressing themselves, your voice didn't disappear. It adapted. Your nervous system learned something important. Speaking up might not be safe. And once that belief forms, it doesn't just stay in the past. It follows you into conversations, into relationships, into the way you show up in your life. Trauma doesn't just look like one big event. Sometimes it looks like small moments repeated over time. Moments where you spoke and weren't heard. You expressed emotion and were told you were too much. You shared your truth and it was dismissed or minimized. You tried to set a boundary and it was ignored or challenged. And in those moments, your body learned. It learned that being fully expressed came with a cost. So your system did something incredibly intelligent. It created distance between you and your voice. At first, it's protection. You stay quiet to avoid conflict. You soften your words to keep the peace. You over-explain so you won't be misunderstood. But over time, that protection becomes a pattern. You start second-guessing yourself before you even speak. You question whether your feelings are valid. You wait for permission instead of trusting your instinct. And eventually, you don't just hold your voice back from others, you begin to hold it back from yourself. You stop asking, what do I actually feel? What do I really want? What is true for me? Because somewhere along the way, you learned that your truth wasn't safe to fully express. And here's where it gets deeper. When you disconnect from your voice, you're also disconnecting from your power, because your voice is more than words. It's your boundaries, your truth, your needs, your identity. So when your voice gets quiet, you might find yourself saying yes when you mean no, staying in situations longer than you should, feeling unseen, unheard, or misunderstood, carrying resentment you don't express. Not because you don't care, but because your system learned that silence felt safer than expression. Your voice was never taken from you. It was never broken. It was simply waiting. Waiting for a moment where it feels safe enough to return. Waiting for a version of you who can hold it with confidence, compassion, and trust. And that's where quiet power comes in. Because reclaiming your voice doesn't always start with speaking louder. Sometimes it starts with listening. Listening to yourself again, trusting what you feel, honoring what comes up inside of you even before you say it out loud. Because when you reconnect with your internal voice, your external voice naturally follows. So if you've been feeling disconnected from your voice, I want you to take a breath and hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You adapted to survive. You learned what you needed to learn in order to feel safe at the time. But now you're in a different place. Now you have awareness. Now you have the ability to begin again, not by forcing yourself to speak, but by gently allowing your voice to return. One thought at a time, one truth at a time, one moment of self-trust at a time. And this is where the shift begins. Because once you understand why your voice became quiet, you can begin learning how to reclaim it without force, without fear, and without losing yourself in the process. And that's exactly where we're going to walk through next with a quiet power framework. Now that you understand why your voice may have felt quiet, the next question becomes, how do I reclaim it without forcing myself to be louder than I am? Because here's the truth. Reclaiming your voice is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more rooted in yourself. It's about shifting from, how do I get them to understand me, to, how do I honor myself whether they understand me or not? That's quiet power. So let me walk you through 5 ways to embody your voice without over-explaining, over-proving, or overextending yourself. Step number 1. Anchor into your truth before you speak. Quiet power starts internally, not externally. Before you say anything out loud, ask yourself, what is true for me right now? Not what's expected, not what will make others comfortable, not what avoids conflict, but what feels grounded and honest in your body. Here is an example. Instead of reacting quickly in a conversation, you pause, you check in, you feel your power before you speak. Because when you're anchored in your truth, your words don't need to be loud. They land because they're aligned. Step number 2. Say less, mean more. One of the biggest shifts in quiet power is this. You stop over-explaining, because over-explaining often comes from a place of, I need you to understand me so I can feel okay. But quiet power says, I understand me, and that's enough. Here is an example. Instead of saying, I'm so sorry, I just have a lot going on and I feel bad and I don't want to upset anyone, but I think I might not be able to, you simply say, I won't be able to make it. Pause. That's it. No long justification, no over softening, just the truth. Step number 3. Let your boundaries be complete sentences. Quiet power doesn't argue its boundaries. It doesn't negotiate its worth. It communicates clearly and allows that to be enough. Here is an example. Instead of, I feel bad, but I think maybe I need a little space if that's okay, you say, I need some space right now. And then you let that stand because your boundary is not a question. It's a statement of self-respect. Step number 4. Regulate your energy, not just your words. Your voice is not just what you say. It's how you feel when you say it. People can feel when you're grounded, and they can feel when you're seeking approval. So quiet power is about regulating your energy first. Breathing, centering, softening your nervous system. Here is an example. Before a difficult conversation, you take a moment. You breathe deeply, you slow your body down, you remind yourself, I am safe to express myself. And when you speak from that place, your presence carries your message before your words even do. Step number 5. Trust that you don't need to convince anyone. This is the one that changes everything. Quiet power releases the need to convince. Because the moment you feel like you have to prove yourself, defend yourself, explain yourself over and over, you're no longer standing in your voice. You're chasing validation. But quiet power says, I trust myself, even if you don't agree. Here is an example. You share your decision. Someone questions it. And instead of spiraling into explanation, you stay grounded and say, this is what feels right for me. And you let that be enough. This isn't about speaking more. It's about needing less to feel heard. Less explanation, less justification, less external validation, and more self-trust, clarity, presence. Because when you feel rooted in yourself, your voice doesn't have to fight to be heard. It naturally carries. You don't have to raise your voice to be powerful. You don't have to explain yourself to be valid. You don't have to prove your worth to take up space. Your presence, your energy, your grounded truth is your voice. And this is where embodiment begins, not in trying harder, but in standing more firmly in who you already are. Before we begin to close today's conversation, I want to invite you into a quiet moment with me. If you're able to, gently close your eyes. If you're driving or moving through your day, simply soften your focus and stay present with your breath. Take a slow breath in through your nose and release it gently through your mouth. Again, breathe in and let it go. Allow your shoulders to soften, your jaw to unclench. Allow your body to settle. Now imagine yourself back in that peaceful place. You're lying gently in the hammock, the sun warm against your skin, your body supported, held, safe. Your toes brushed lightly against the soft green grass beneath you. The sky above is wide and open, clouds drifting slowly, birds singing softly nearby. And just like before, a butterfly moves gently through the air, unrushed, unforced, unbothered, and yet completely present. Take a breath here, because this is the energy we're stepping into. Now imagine yourself slowly sitting up in the hammock. Your feet touch the ground. You stand. And as you stand, you feel something shift. Your posture becomes steady. Your breath becomes deeper. Your body feels grounded, anchored, supported. Now imagine yourself stepping into a real life moment. Conversation where you would normally over-explain. A situation where you would usually shrink. A space where you felt the need to prove yourself. See it clearly. You are there. But this time, something is different. Before you speak, you pause. You take a breath. You feel your feet on the ground. You feel your body supported. You feel your truth inside you. Not rushing, not panicking, not searching for the right words, just present. Now imagine yourself responding, not with a long explanation, not with an over-justification, but with calm clarity, simple, grounded, aligned. And then you stop. You don't add more, you don't over-explain. You let your words land, and in that moment, you feel something new. Not anxiety, not doubt, but steadiness. Now imagine the other person responding. Maybe they question you. Maybe they don't fully understand. Maybe they push back. And instead of shrinking, you stay rooted. You don't rush to explain. You don't feel the need to convince. You simply breathe and say to yourself, I trust myself. Feel that in your body. Let it settle in your chest. Let it ground your energy. Because your power is not in controlling their response. Your power is in staying connected to yourself. Now imagine yourself stepping out of that moment, walking back into the sunlight, the warmth still on your skin, the grass still beneath your feet, the sky still open above you, and you realize something quietly powerful. You didn't lose yourself. You didn't abandon your truth. You didn't overextend your energy. You stayed with you. And that is quiet power. Now place your hand gently over your heart. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale and say quietly to yourself, I don't need to prove myself to be powerful. My presence is enough. I trust my voice, even in silence. Again, I don't need to prove myself to be powerful. My presence is enough. I trust my voice, even in silence. Let those words settle. Let them root into your body. Take one final deep breath in and slowly exhale. And when you're ready, gently bring your awareness back to the present moment. Because this is what it looks like to reclaim your voice. Not by becoming louder, but by becoming more grounded, more aligned, more certain of who you are. As you come back into this moment, just take a second to notice yourself. Maybe your breath feels a little deeper. Maybe your body feels a little more grounded. Maybe there's a quiet sense of steadiness inside of you that wasn't there before. And even if it's subtle, that's how quiet power begins. Not loud, not forced, not all at once. but in small moments like this where you choose to stay connected to yourself, where you pause before reacting, where you trust what you feel, where you allow your presence to speak without needing over explanation. And here's something I want you to hear, especially right now. You don't have to figure this all out on your own, because while what you just experienced is powerful, this kind of transformation deepens when you have a space to continue practicing it, a space where you can reconnect with your voice, a space where you can build self-trust in a way that feels safe and steady, a space where you can learn how to move through your life rooted in who you are instead of who you learn to be. That's exactly why I created Finding Direction from Within. It's not about teaching you how to be louder. It's about helping you feel more at home within yourself. So your voice, your boundaries, your presence all begin to flow from a place of truth. Inside this experience, we explore the kind of work you touch today. We slow things down. We reconnect with your internal voice. We build the kind of grounded confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. Whether you choose to move through it at your own pace or walk alongside me with deeper support, this is a space where you are met exactly where you are. No pressure, no performance, just a place to grow into yourself. So if something inside of you feels that quiet pull, that gentle knowing that you're ready to keep going, you can explore Finding Direction from Within at www.bodyelementsmindelevation.com. Not because you're missing something, but because you're ready to stand more fully in who you already are, and you don't have to walk that path alone anymore. As always, thank you for being here with me today. Wherever you are, may you move through the world with a little more steadiness in your step and a deeper trust in who you are. You don't have to explain your worth, prove your truth, or make yourself smaller to be understood. Your presence is your voice. Your boundaries are your language. Your self-trust is your power. So as you continue forward, may you remember this. You don't have to be louder to be heard. You only have to be rooted enough in yourself to no longer question your place. And just like the sun that warms without asking and the butterfly that transforms without permission, may you allow yourself to simply be fully, freely, and without apology. This is Gina, signing off. Thank you for tuning in to Triumphant Over Trauma, where resilience prevails and women rewrite their stories of victory after trauma. Remember, healing is a journey, not a destination. Keep embracing your strength, cultivating resilience, and shining your light bright. You are capable of triumphing over any challenge life throws your way. Until next time, keep rising and thriving. You've got this.